Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back. Doing something a little bit different tonight. We have had a question that a lot of people have asked me over the years, and basically it comes down to which is better, Stalingrad or Alaska? So I thought, well, there's only one real reason, or only one real way to do it, and that is to play the Stalingrad again, play the Alaska again, and see what I think of both of them. Now, I think they're both very capable ships, and I think both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, but which do I prefer, and why? So, let's answer the question that y'all been asking. Is the Stalingrad or the Alaska better? Now, for me, it comes down to the Alaska being better. And that's not because my American bias that everybody likes to throw out there. It's Martin, you just like American ships because you're American. No, I love the Stalingrad. Believe it or not, I do. But it has some huge disadvantages. It can't turn. And if it gets caught, it dies. Alaska can turn, and if it gets caught, generally it's just fine. That is huge when you're talking about a flanking supercruiser, right? Or whatever you want to call them, battlecruiser, supercruiser, you come up with a term, I don't care. But it is huge. And this huge weakness that the Stalingrad has is something that cannot be overstated. And that is the main reason I don't play it as much as I probably should. Because it is fantastic. It is generally extreme accuracy. It's got a long range, albeit short duration radar. It still fully overmatches the Mino. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I thought I killed this Mino right here. But unfortunately, I do. I don't manage to citadel him through the back of the ship. But we are still spotted by him. He's not really doing anything to us. And that is where this has a bit of an advantage over the Alaska. Alaska gets absolutely punished if it stays bow in. The Stalingrad doesn't really. And the reason being is for the same reason that American battleships get punished for being bow in all the time, and the same reason that German battleships get punished for being bow in is the superstructure. The Alaska has a very healthy, very accessible superstructure, whereas the Stalingrad does not seem to have the same weakness. Again, Stalingrad has a major citadel that is a huge weakness and can't turn, which gets this thing killed a lot. But the guns, nobody's going to argue between the two. The Stalingrad's guns are simply better, right? There's no question about it. Alaska has incredible guns. The Stalingrad's guns are simply just better, which goes to show just how nasty this ship is. But the ship does get exposed in especially close quarters, which leads to a lot of people playing the Stalingrad very passively, which I don't think is the right way to play the Stalingrad. I think the Stalingrad is at its best when it's in a situation like this where it can simply be up in the fray, tanking damage where it has to, but also being in a position to help the team at all costs. If you're so far back that you're not in any sort of danger, you're too far back. Okay? That's just the way I see it. But because we're here, we helped get rid of the enemy Holland. We also managed to radar the Holland, which is what caused him to YOLO forward like a maniac in the first place. He was perfectly fine where he was. He didn't have to go crazy, but because he got spotted, he suddenly decided he needed to go crazy mode. We effectively took all of the Mino, and because of us being in this position, we have forced the enemy to lose this flank early. Our destroyer is going to be able to cap. We have another, essentially Mino, a Brisbane over here. We're going to take a shot at him as he turns away from us to run away, and we're going to get a good hit right through the back of him. And again, that's where this thing really does shine. However, you've got to balance your aggression. You can't be stupid. I know that goes for everything, right? Like, we talk about it a lot, but seriously. One of the downsides of this thing, compared to the Alaska, is the firing arcs. This thing is a literal railgun, okay? Literal railgun. Meaning, they're very flat, allowing you to hit targets at longer ranges easier, but doesn't allow you to really shoot over any islands, especially if you're too close to them. So that is a downside, and it is a significant downside. Now, one of the things you're going to notice here is this battleship. This battleship, it is amazing this man's still alive. I'll be real honest. The dude just, like, went right out in front of everybody, full broadside, and got away with it. Our other battleship is not getting away with it. He's got 2 battleships, or 3 battleships, and a Brisbane there to make him miserable. So we are trying to get used to the fact that this thing does have HE. I don't use the HE in this ship very often. They did give it HE to like help it when it comes to the consistency between this ship and something like the Alaska, where Alaska has the ability to swap. I don't think they needed to give the Stalingrad HE personally, but they gave it HE, so that's one less thing that the Alaska has over top of this ship to consider as an advantage. But for me, it always is going to come down to how I play, right? Now, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for everybody. But the way that I play, I need the ship to be able to take hits. I need the ship to be able to be aggressive at the right times. And the Stalingrad struggles with the being aggressive at the right times. Because if I were to push you around that corner, before this thing got bow in, it would likely be dev-struck. Right? Especially when you see this many battleships. In an Alaska, I could have simply rolled around that corner, taken the initial hit, probably been hit pretty hard, but I would have gotten away with it, gotten bow in, and then the only thing I have to worry about bow in either the Stalingrad or the Alaska is a Yamato, right? But there was no Yamato over here. It's simply a Kurfürst, a Republik, and then whatever the Montana, right? So while we could have done that in the Alaska, I can't take that chance in the Stalingrad. So that is why I personally prefer the Alaska. It has the ability to take those hits and then get in there, and once you're stuck in, both of these ships are fully capable of standing toe-to-toe with any battleship. They really are. They have fast-firing guns that hit like freaking freight trains. And we're about to demonstrate that perfectly right here. Now here we're going to go for the bow. I mean, it's as good as you're going to get, right? 3 of those ricochet because he did get angled enough so that we hit his extended belt. But as he pushes around the corner, he's opened up to the Z-52. And again, this is exactly what you want to do. You want to be able to pull these guys towards you. You want to be able to force them into the crossfire. So now you can see I am radaring, hoping to God that somebody can shoot this Brisbane, right? Like, I want him dead. But we also know that we are fully capable of sending this Brisbane to the Shadow Realm. So we roll around the corner like we own the place, knowing that the battleship has already committed to going in the middle. And RNGesus just says, go f*** yourself. There is no other way to put it. There is no reason that should have not hit at all. Got some of the most accurate guns in the game, and the game just said, nope, you do not pass go, you do not collect $200. And because of it, he also gets another fire. Now, as we come around the corner here, we have to be extremely careful. We know that the enemy Montana is here, so we can't be stupid, right? We know that there are torpedoes on the way, so we have to try to get around the corner, and we end up taking 2 torpedoes, which is not ideal. And that is something that I had to try to avoid. I knew that the torps were likely coming. I was hoping that by going forward I would get ahead of them, and we did get ahead of most of them, but we still took 2. And now I'm in a situation where I'm up against the Montana at close range, and I just had to use a damage control, as well as the fact that now this is not where I want to be in the Stalingrad, because his secondaries are fully capable of shooting me, and he has nasty guns. And then on top of that, RNG is just not going to be on my side in this scenario. We've got a running away Montana, where the only way I'm going to get any sort of damage on him, really, is if I get lucky with secondary fire, or if I can manage to get some shells to actually hit the target. And we are struggling in the shells hitting the target department. But as we force the Montana out, you may be paying attention to the map. Look at the advantage our team has in terms of ships. We also have 3 caps. We don't have to do anything crazy here. So here you can see I am trying to also break guns here. I don't want him to be able to shoot me back. If you can make an unfair, an unfair fight, then that's all the better for you. Now, as he turns his turrets here, I know that I can easily pin those turrets, and I figure I would kill his turrets. But unfortunately, the game just says no. But we do get to fire with the secondary, which is big. But he is going to get around the corner. We might get one more shot here as we try to hope for the best. We get the shot over the island, and we get 1 hit. Unfortunately, too many shells hit the island. But if you're paying attention to the minimap, the game just got a lot closer, and they still have their Vermont out on my right. So I've got to be careful to not overexpose the broadside of my ship. Again, we want to make sure that we limit who can shoot us. The Montana has taken himself out of the fight for the moment, so now is the perfect time for me to engage the Vermont. And I can do so without putting myself in any danger, right? That is the ideal. Now, I am fully aware that that Montana is likely to turn around and come back. Our destroyer has decided to go all the way around the other side of the map for reasons unknown to mankind. Our cruiser has kind of like piddle-farted around the right flank, and now is in a situation where he might be able to grab the B-cap. And then we have an unknown battleship behind us that I think was the guy that early on backed out in front of everybody and got away with it. But as you can see, the Montana is spotted by our cruiser. Not an ideal scenario for our cruiser, but there's nothing I can do about this, unfortunately. Again, railguns. I can't shoot over this island unless he gets all the way up in here. And then the other downside is, as he takes a shot at our cruiser, I take a shot over the island and I get a very nasty hit. And those are the hits that I need, right? Those are the looks that I need. And of course, I leave him alive, and the battleship is nowhere to be found. He can't be in a position to help with the enemy Montana, so Montana is going to live. This is ultimately going to be my demise, because the battleship decided he wants to piddle fart around behind the island and not actually do anything useful. It's just down to me and the cruiser, right? And the destroyer is so far out of play that he's not going to be useful, because he decided to go visit Timbuktu while we're over here trying to fight. And a bow-in Montana is about to come around the corner. Remember, we were shooting the back of his ship earlier, so we try to go for the superstructure here. He takes a shot at us. He gets pretty terrible dispersion. We get an okay shot into the superstructure, but look how much health he has healed back. Like, this guy would have been dead if this battleship had just shot him like 30 seconds ago. But no, he gets to heal it back. Now, he opens up the angle here. I'm going to make him pay for that by going through the side plating of the bow. But unfortunately, we're just not getting enough damage. We needed him gone. And then he gets a god roll. Like, those shells were actually touching. He gets over 10,000 damage. And I'm like, at this angle, he shouldn't have gotten that penetration. So I'm going to assume that he got a lucky shot into the superstructure with all of those shells being accurate. But yeah, that's real unfortunate for us. And it turns out that this was an Alaska, and then the Alaska ends up bow tanking the Montana while being broadside to the Vermont, and things are starting to look like this could be a loss, if we're being honest. Like, this is not an ideal. And then, of course, Alaska decides to get the rear turret on, so now he's broadside to the Montana, and Montana's going to make him pay for it. Like, the thought process is mind-boggling at times. And then he goes back to being broadside. It's like he's trying to throw all of his hit points away. He goes broadside to the Vermont, then broadside to the Montana, then broadside to the Vermont again. Just begging to be finished off. And we've got this Navarin who shows that he's got no hit points left. Now, this is the first time I've looked at him. We know this was the guy that was next to me that backed out in front of everybody. I have no idea how long he's had no hit points, but I know how long it is before he loses the rest of them. Oh my god. This man he just needs to go play the lottery. He just got shot by a Vermont with only 1,000 hit points and didn't take a single point of damage. Takes a shot at the Vermont, gets a little bit of damage on the superstructure, and now our destroyer has run into their destroyer, and again, like, it's not an ideal scenario, but Fortunately, we went on points, which just, again, goes to show just how crucial it is to have your cruiser in a position to help fight the enemy destroyer and win the flank early. You get those points lead, despite your team's best efforts to try to throw, you can still win the match. But don't worry, we've got a game coming up tomorrow in the Alaska, and we will show the differences between the two if we can. But neither of them are bad ships. If you like battleships or if you like really tanky cruisers, you're not going to have a problem playing Stalingrad or Alaska. They're both fantastic. But personally, despite them both being fantastic, I prefer the Alaska just for its a little bit better ship for moving around the map. Stalingrad, very good at getting stuck in and staying there, much like a Vladivostok or a Lenin. But once that leaves and you have to start moving around, that's where things get a lot more dangerous for the Stalingrad, where the Alaska thrives on that. Alaska loves being out and about, getting out on those flanks, getting those crossfires, setting up crossfires. Still has the radar, but it's a longer duration, short range radar. There's so much good for both of these ships, but let me know which one you prefer down in the comments, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.